हेलो एंड वेलकम बैक टू द चैनल लेडीज़ एंड जेंटलमैन। मेरा नाम है वैभव। मैं अंडरडॉग्स गेमिंग स्टूडियो का फाउंडर हूँ। इस चैनल पे मैं गेम डेवलपमेंट और करियर्स के बारे में बात करता हूँ। चैनल पे मैंने जितने भी वीडियोस बनाए हैं या फिर मैं कभी किसी के साथ कॉन्वर्जेसन करता हूँ तो मैं हमेशा गेमिंग को 4 ब्रॉड कैटेगरीज में डिवाइड करता हूँ, जो कि है गेम डिज़ाइन, गेम आर्ट, गेम प्रोग्रामिंग और गेम टेस्टिंग। पर आपको पता है क्या, इस इंडस्ट्री में गेमिंग में सिर्फ ये 4 कैटेगरीज नहीं है, बट इसके अलावा बहुत सारे अदर ऑप्शंस है जो आप यूज़ कर सकते हो इंडस्ट्री में आने के लिए। जैसे एनालिटिक्स हो, रेवेन्यूज़ हो, जब आप रेवेन्यूज़ पे फोकस करो, पब्लिशिंग हो, मार्केटिंग हो, एएसओ हो या फिर गेम जर्नलिज्म हो। तो आज इस वीडियो में मैं आपसे बात करने वाला हूँ वीडियो गेम जर्नलिज्म के बारे में। जी हाँ, मेरे साथ आज इस वीडियो पे हमारे गेस्ट है कृषाणु घोषल फ्रॉम एनिमेशन एक्सप्रेस, जो कि एक वीडियो गेम जर्नलिस्ट है। तो गाइज, विदाउट वेस्टिंग एनी मोर टाइम, लेट्स टॉक टू कृषाणु। ओवर टू यू मैन, अ क्विक इंट्रोडक्शन।
How are you?
I'm good, I'm good, I'm good.
So my name is Krishanu. I have been working at Animation Express for around 4 years as a video. I joined as a video game journalist, but right now I oversee the entire category from animation, visual effects, gaming, and comics. So I joined Animation Express at a time where when I didn't know that video game journalism existed in India at least. I saw a couple of articles from reputed portals and channels and papers, but they were very less. The niche that is video game journalism, you would find that it came to light in the last 2-3 years mainly, majorly with the advent of esports as well. The focus came, there were multiple players which are there now. That time it was not much, so I came in thinking, okay, what is there to write about the Indian gaming industry? I didn't know much. Then I came in and it was a whole different world. There was so much going on in gaming. I believe you were one of the first people I interviewed
Yeah.
once I came in. So it was an eye opener. There were so many events going on. NASCOM used to conduct these events on serious gaming or game development, these small events which I used to go and cover. And I learned that there's so many people that are into game development in India, which I didn't know at all.
Yeah.
So post that, the contacts just started growing. The gaming scene in India rose. There were more developers. There were more events. There were different kinds of events. There were art competitions. There were game jams. There were esports competitions, real money gaming. So a lot of it, and it just now you can see how game journalism has evolved. Just look at the number of portals that used to religiously cover gaming or aspects around it 3 years back, and look at how many are there now. So it goes on just like any other field. If there is something going on, there would be people who would get into these kind of reportings because people want to know more and more because it's an up and coming industry.
Yeah, yeah. So you basically cover almost all the aspects of video games, be it typical games or esports or any kind of events which are happening in India.
So yes, so not just events or esports, also from game development to if a studio is doing fantastic game arts, we cover as them. We interview the artists, we see where their inspiration is from, what are the projects, what clients are there. So the whole point of reporting here is you have to find the story, which is important right now. If I see there's something happening in the development area, I'll check with that studio if they're ready to talk. If not, I'll just publish it, or if they can give me an interview, I'm sorry, that's even better. So yes, fantasy sports is fairly new in India, but that has also come under the gaming umbrella. So we cover that as well, which took a hit due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So
Yeah,
we also cover that, and some of real money gaming as well. Not so much of the gambling. uh, because some of those games also come under the gaming umbrella, however unconventional it may sound.
True.
So we do cover everything. It can be one esports match, it can be one esports event, it can be one game jam, it can be a global game jam, it can be one development from one studio. We talk to the technology providers on what they're looking at. Our focus is majorly the Indian market,
Yeah.
but just like any other industry, let's say in the field of entertainment journalism itself, somebody who covers Bollywood, if there's a big news from Hollywood, they will cover it. So
Right.
it's the same. So if today some Indian studio is releasing a game which is really good, we'll definitely cover it. Our focus is always the Indian market. But if there's something huge going on in like a few days back, Pokemon announced a MOBA game for mobiles and Nintendo devices. So we ought to cover that because
Yeah.
it was big in the global market.
Sure.
So we pretty much cover everything that is related to gaming. We even did marketing as well, advertising in gaming. So all the aspects of it. It's actually fun.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, yeah, it is, and I think at the current stage where Indian gaming industry is, people like you who are actually writing about the Indian stories are very, very important to bring it into the limelight, I guess, because uh, this current generation of game developers are really cracking it at a very, amazing level. Like games like
Hmm.
Raji or games from Ogrehead Studios or
Correct.
Antrik Sanchar for that matter.
Hmm. Hmm.
these are all amazing games which are coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah, Animation Express as a whole also covers art, art side, the animation, the other
Yeah.
industry also,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
let's just get more into the details of video game journalism. So
Sure.
for the audience, just according to you, what exactly is video game journalism?
So it's not very different from any form of journalism actually. If you see a journalist which covers a niche area, let's say I cover stocks, stock exchange, or I cover entertainment, or I cover healthcare. It's
Yeah.
exactly like that. It's exactly like that, and you're covering video games. So initially, what people used to think is, when I told my parents as well, कि I I write about video games. My parents said, "कि तू कभी खेलना नहीं छोड़ेगा." Like I don't need to. So people need to understand this is a legit industry, and this needs as much coverage as the other industries as well.
Yeah.
Because just like other industries, it has multiple facets to it. So there are multiple things to cover. So I cannot really differentiate it from many other journalism. Of course, the mainstream one, that is our daily lives. That is you can get stories everywhere, and they work really hard. For us, you have to keep a track of everything. So what is going on, ये studio के साथ क्या हो रहा है. If I see a poster of a studio that coming soon, I'll check their page every day कि
Hmm.
आया कुछ, can I cover something, is there something of importance, or even coming soon, is it a big thing that I'm going to happen. Maybe I do a story on, let's say, what can we expect.
Yeah.
So if you see the writing style, maybe the language might be a little different for some stories. Other than that, I think it's just the same as other niche fortes of journalism.
Yeah, but sounds like it's more of being awake all the time about what's happening in the industry, the the trends in which the wave is going in the industry, who is making what, and I think research plays a very much important role in this overall thing, right? So tell me just a basic example of let's say tomorrow you want to cover something,
Mhm.
uh, you know you are keeping an eye on that particular thing and you want to cover something. Just take me through that whole process. How does this work?
Okay. So if I already have something in mind that I want to cover, so firstly, as you said that you have to be awake all the time. The thing is, you have to have a nose for news. As my one of my seniors once told me, if it's not new, it's not news. If somebody else covers it, you don't break it or at least put it out in the first few hours, then why would people come visit your site?
Correct.
So, if I'm planning a story already for 2 3 days, that might be one announcement, or that might be a feature story which has some research and pointers to it, or an industry story, which is not really a breaking story, but more of a perspective story. So,
Yes.
for a story like that, we generally plan ahead, because for stories like that, we also almost all of the time have to get quotes and answers from experts in the industry, the veterans, and to reach out to them to get them to give you even 2 3 answers or have an interview slot can be a task at times,
Yeah.
because you have to go through multiple channels. There's PRs involved in between. Sometimes they'll say, okay, let's do it telephonic, you want to do it email, what kind of questions do you want to ask. The PR would be there on the call, they'll record the call. So first and foremost, you should have a very good idea about what you are going to write. It cannot be there are always chances that you get some different answer. You ask multiple questions and you get two stories out of it, maybe
Yeah.
because they're so important that you dissect it into two stories. Other
Right.
than that, you should have a clear idea about what you want, because the people you are talking to don't have time for anything rather than just that interview. So once you have that clear, you create a set of questions, or have it in your mind at least, ki, what am I going to ask? So after that, you get the interview, then you start your research. If numbers are needed, or quotes are needed, or something happened which you have to use as an example, so
Yeah.
you get all those together. Then you start writing, but you should have by this time you should already have a flow in your mind. Okay, this is the answer, this is my research, this is my topic, so this is how I'm going to take the story. I'll start with an intro, which obviously has to give sorry, give some information about the story. Then I say ki, okay, this is the thing. Then I justify it with a fact, or a quote, or some research figures. And then once it is done, the copy goes for subbing. Now it generally comes to me for subbing, and I send my copies to my editor in chief. Then they will have feedbacks on, okay, you shouldn't write this. There are a lot of things which you can't write. The one thing can change the entire meaning of the thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not gonna go in deep with that, and that'll reveal my style sheet. But yeah, so there are a lot of things. So it shouldn't be a problem. If you're an avid news reader, you'll understand how to approach a story. As I said, they're like any other stories as well, for niche reporting at least. So if you keep reading, you'll understand this is the way a story goes. This is how I can keep the reader, in place till the end of my story. The story needs to have substance, not just okay, this is it, first para mein khatam ho gaya. I don't want to read the rest.
Right.
So that's what generally subbing does. They polish your stories.
Yeah.
uh, they tell you, okay, next time do this, or they give you another idea, or you can have a different approach. Sometimes what we have during the edit meets is we throw around ideas and discuss ki, okay, I have this idea, but how to approach, whom to approach, how should I take this story ahead. So it's pretty much like that. So if I'm doing a story, firstly there'll be idea. If there's a edit session, we'll discuss that. Then I'll gather everything that I need, and we work on deadlines. So everybody works on deadlines actually. So
Yeah.
if because if I get stuck with that story for a while, then my other stories get stacked.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's pretty much the process. Then I get everything together, figure out a flow, and I start writing the story. Then it gets subbed and published.
Is there any particular format of writing these articles wherein we say that this is a summary, there's a body, things like that? Can you just roughly tell a
Uh,
generic standard process?
so in what I've been taught, actually, for every, I think, article, the thumb rule is 5 W's and 1 H, which is there for everything: who, what, when, where, and how. So that should always be there. So your story, if I read a story on uh, what the this is what the next 5 years of Indian gaming industry looks. It's a very broad topic. I
Okay.
have to justify it. So when the reader clicks on it with that title, it should have all the information. What what would be the 5 years? Where India? Why? Then I justify my reasons. Maybe if expert views, maybe numbers. Then how? Then the process, and then there's an ending where you generally don't give your opinion a lot, because our job is to report, not always. There are special opinion pieces for that.
Yeah.
So when there's a report, we generally tend to follow these. Other than that, whatever you think would be relevant for the article, people would want to read. Maybe you quote one report from 3 years back and
Hmm.
see how that report fared in the 3 years. Did it come true? Did those numbers come true? Then you say, then you justify this report with that. Will it come true? So there's a lot of ideas that are thrown here and there, and
Mhm.
finally you get to a conclusion.
Cool. So who are these people who are involved? Like how like I just want to understand the profiles of people who are involved in this overall process. Like is this
Okay.
one guy who is writing this article, who writes it and then sends it to, what is the profile? Or is there any uh art people also involved in this?
Yes. Again, any portal which covers news, I think you'll find a couple of profiles there. It's not just writers. So you'll find reporters, you'll find copy editors whose work is exactly to just check your
Can you
copy.
can you just explain what is copy for the
Sure.
audience?
So copy is basically, let's say I'm a reporter. I go somewhere. I find a story key. Okay, this is going to be today's story. I write the article, and then there are that story is called a copy.
Okay.
That piece of writing is called a copy. So there are special copy editors whose job is just to check your copy. They don't go on the field, they don't report on anything, they just edit your copies.
Mhm.
Then there are sub editors in some places. They sub your copy. Basically they also copy edit and make changes and maybe change the flow if they think it is necessary. There are graphic designers, obviously, because if I say this is the story, I need a visual imagery of that.
Hmm.
So then they come and they make some vector image or some animation. Then there are camera people who go with us on interviews, who shoot, and then the footage is passed on to the video editors.
Hmm.
So the reporter who went for the shoot has to sit with the video editor who is doing, sorry, give him instructions and get done with his video, because they will generally have a script all the time. The video should go like this. एक flow होता है हमेशा.
Yeah,
तो
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
the video should go like this. That's for every sector, I think.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much it. So either, and then there's the editor in chief,
Hmm.
who is like the top boss for any
There's
publication.
the final calls on the articles.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Final calls, and if your publication gets into trouble, he gets or she gets into trouble first.
Okay.
So yeah, generally, so we have around 6 reporters, each covering a different field.
Mhm.
Sometimes one person covering two sides of the story. I mean, sides of AVGC as well. Then we have graphic designer. We have video editors, camera people. I work as the assistant editor, so I'm right below the editor in chief. Uh, yeah, that's pretty much our structure. But these are commonly the kind of designations that you'll find in a publication.
Awesome. Awesome. So it all sounds very very interesting actually. Now this is a big question. Okay. What is the qualification requires for anybody who wants to get into this field?
Okay, so I'll start with myself. I did my bachelor's in English honors.
Okay.
Then I wanted to get into journalism anyway, but as I told you, Tabi, I wasn't even aware that some company is hiring for gaming journalism.
Hmm.
वो time पे. So I was just looking for reporting के jobs. I did my internship with two kind of pretty big brands as well. Then I went into copywriting because I wasn't getting anything that I wanted.
Hmm.
Then I've been a gamer since I think I was 13. So I was still playing. So I was scrolling through some portal someday and I saw okay, we are looking for a video game writer, a journalist. And I was like, what? Are you
सोने पे
serious?
सुहागा.
Yeah, this is like best of both worlds. And I was like, okay, this let me go and try. So
Yeah.
luckily, my old office and current office are like at 100 meters ka distance, I think.
Okay.
So I went and gave the interview. That's the funny part. In the interview, the person who was whose shoes I was filling because he was going for higher studies. You must know Vivek. He was there
Yeah,
before me.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So Vivek was there taking my interview. He asked me, "Okay, tell me about gaming." I told him this, that, and he's like, "Tell me about Indian gaming industry." I don't think there is a very big industry to cover. He's like, "Do you know anything? Go do some research and come." So I went back. I did my research. Then I had to give a test, and I cracked it. But uh, so I did my masters in journalism, as I told you. But right now, what is needed is if you're a good writer, the first thing is you have to have nose for news. That is, you always have to see कि, okay, news क्या हो रहा है.
Hmm.
See, I always keep like not uh, so always there should be some curiosity कि, okay, what's happening, but you have to like the industry, then only this comes. Otherwise this will just feel like नहीं नहीं यार नहीं करना है. So if you like video gaming and like always curious about what's going on and you want to write about it, I think qualification should not be a very big bar. As long as you're a good writer, you have nose for news, you can do your research, take responsibility for your stories, because if something goes wrong you'll be the one, like at least your team or your editor will talk to you only. So I think bachelors, I see a lot of BMM or BMS people coming into this, a
Okay.
lot of them. But one of our team's better reporters actually was an engineer. He was an engineer, and he wanted to just write, and he came in. He was a very quiet guy, but probably one of the better writers that I have seen. He mostly covered visual effects, but yeah. So see, if you're a good writer and if you have knack for writing and reporting, and for this gaming industry, I think qualification should not be a very big problem, apart from the basics, of course.
Yeah, but but don't you think the masters or the bachelors in mass media or the things that you did had some kind of significant in improving your skills of understanding English better, so that you can write better? Did that impact that qualification impacted your career?
So possibly during masters, I had already gone through like 12th and bachelors and all. It didn't. I don't know if it improved my English as such, but it definitely improved the way I approach stories.
Hmm.
Because for our projects we had a media lab, and you'll go there and you'll be asked to record, you'll be asked to shoot and edit and write copies, as I mentioned, articles. And the teachers would say, okay, this is not how it's done, read newspapers. Tomorrow I want 5 articles from 5 newspapers which you have read to come. So there's somebody behind you all the time. So that's the only thing I believe. Yes, my language has improved there, because all these at least the teachers I got were all media professionals themselves.
Okay.
So we used to get hear first-hand stories, like for advertising, they used to tell us what campaigns they did, what hardships they face. For journalism, they used to tell us this is how you write when it's a sensitive story, how to approach it, how to. These are some words which you shouldn't be, using. So those things definitely helped. But personally, this is my very personal opinion. I don't think a very high degree is necessary.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you know the basics, you're good at writing, you're good at grammar, you know how to like properly structure a story, and you know how to research, and you need to have that thing curiosity. Okay, I'll be the first one to break the story, something like that.
Yeah,
So you need to
yeah,
have those qualities and writing. If you're going into video journalism, then you how to speak in front of the camera and the same things.
yeah.
Yeah. So.
So apart from these qualifications that you just mentioned,
Mhm.
also you spoke about some skills, right? Like having a nose for news, always curious to. What are a couple of other soft skills or other skills apart from qualification that you would say would help you, not mandatory as such, but would help you to write better or be into this industry?
Okay. I think good communication is always a must. Uh, uh, Actually, talking to people more frequently, being, I don't know, not being formal all the time, because that's how you build relations. That's how it's all about your sources. When you want to do a story, it's all about your sources.
Yeah.
uh, you get a lot of tip-offs from your sources that,
Hmm.
hey, this is happening, I'm like, okay, so we don't quote our source. But you should always look forward to building relations. You should have clear communication,
Yeah, I
firstly.
think I think networking works.
Oh,
Networking
absolutely.
has to be because I don't think we met any other places other than the
Yeah.
events.
Yeah,
All the
all the
events.
events.
Yeah.
Minus
So
the time when I came to your studio.
yeah. Once when
Yeah.
you. But yeah, I think networking, being in these events, definitely helps you to connect to a lot of industry people. Uh, and what I personally think is there are very few people that I know from the journalism background who are writing about stuff about games or other stuff who are who care about relationships. Like you are one of them, because of which we speak a lot in terms of whenever there is some news.
Yeah.
I keep on sharing these things with you also, but I don't do that with other people. That is because the kind of relation, the ability of connecting with people that you have, or some of the other guys that I know from the industry have, I think also impacts a lot in getting those news sources, you know.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But shh, they can't be named.
Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's very interesting. Okay, so we already are around 25 to 26 minutes down.
Hmm.
One last question that I want to ask you, okay? And this is, there are two actually. One is a bit controversial. I'll ask you the controversial
Not
one
gonna answer
first.
that.
It's not that controversial, but what do you think about clickbaits? Because
Hmm.
I personally think people in the journalism sector right now, and I'm not just talking about the video game industry. I'm talking
Hmm.
about in general. Misuse a lot of stuff. Like just for an example, in recent case of Sushant's suicide, right?
Oh, yeah.
You saw how the articles were, just written in a way that it made you click on it and just go and read it. But you know, uh, the bad journalism. What do you think about those clickbaits? What is your perspective on that?
Uh, so again, I'll be very honest with this. This is again my personal opinion. Clickbaits are, clickbaits, I believe, were there for a time being. Right now, we see it more because the competition is more, and to
Hmm.
survive, you need clicks. So people will. So if you see the news headlines, they'll talk some crap in the headline, which
Hmm.
make you want to click. But once
Yeah.
you click on it, very few articles you'll find that it talks about A and it has B in the subject, A in
Yeah.
the headline. They'll talk about A only, but it'll have one line which has no significance.
Correct.
But you clicked.
That's what
So
I was
you
asking.
हाँ, so you can't even say कि भाई तूने तो हेडलाइन में कुछ और लिखा, उसने हेडलाइन में जो लिखा वैसा ही कुछ है, but it's not of any use. Let's not even go to that Sushant Singh Rajput wala thing. The media
Yeah,
was horrible. It
yeah,
was
yeah,
I you had to like log off from social media just to not see people sharing all those stuff.
yeah,
But clickbaits are very much there, very, very much. But you need to see the source of the news. So you need to have sources which you trust over the years. Ki I know these guys won't, at least if not 100%, but 80% chances are they won't do a clickbait thing.
mm,
This should be something. And clickbaits, I don't know how to put it. It's there in very much in the gaming industry as well.
yeah,
I know some international portals. I won't name them. Sometimes they'll just write one article about something. Oh, look, this is this and that is that. You click on it, there's nothing inside.
mm,
And as when there's something new in game, I really want to see it, so I'll click it, and there'll be nothing there.
mm,
So it's a little disappointing, but I think it's kind of become a norm now. People don't even care about it. They'll say it's clickbait, but you'll still
mm,
click on it
yeah,
because the headline is so enticing.
yeah.
So that's how clickbaits are written. It's everything is on the headline and the thumbnail image. That's how
Right.
YouTube clickbaits happen as well.
Right, right, right. I just why I asked you this question is because it just surprises me. Because a writer, a journalist or a writer can write it, can do that stuff to pull the audience. But is the whole hierarchy okay with it to is involved in doing this? Like, because I think it's just it could be one part. Like, for example, in games we do user acquisitions,
Hmm.
which is a genuine way of getting users but buying them. But there is another part which is burst campaigns, which are fake users put in money
Yeah.
and blow it up to get into the rankings.
Right.
Is The question was the answer what I'm looking for is it a part of the business to do certain percentage of such kind of things so
I
that you get uh,
I think it has, as you're asking about hierarchy, I think it's not that the hierarchy doesn't know. If the articles are still coming out, they are very much aware of it, and
yeah.
that means by not saying anything, they are supporting it. So I
Mhm.
think uh, when you have a news which is sensational, let's take Sushant's example as well. You have one piece of information, you get one click on one article.
Yeah.
I make 20 things out of it.
Mm.
I make an article about how his dog is sad, how there is a conspiracy theory, how there's this, that, and bringing other people in. I make 20 articles because they
Yeah.
need clicks.
Yeah.
So it is very much there, and it's not that the hierarchy or the editors or the people managing the publication don't know. It's very
Mm.
much there because nothing. Do you think they don't read their own publication? Of course they do. They have 10 other things to do, but
Yeah.
they'll of course check. Do you think somebody gets angry? Some of their friends, they won't send them an article. ये तेरा company क्या लिख रहा है? Of course they know.
Right. Right. Right.
So it's all there, but it's just become. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but it's become a part, I
Yeah.
guess, by now.
Yeah.
Everybody knows this is a clickbait, but you'll still click because everybody. And given the pandemic, everybody's locked down, so you'll click on whatever you find just to
Yeah.
pass the
That's
time.
true. That's true. Cool. To end up, just last question. So imagine I'm a 10th standard guy, because I have a lot of subscribers on the channel who are at this stage. I'm a
Okay.
10th standard guy. I want to become a game journalist. What is your best crack to get into video game journalism? What do you suggest me?
Okay, so firstly, I forgot to mention one thing. Abhi, a lot of these gaming platforms and companies are going kind of local and vernacular languages mein. So I
Mhm.
think it might be, it hasn't happened yet, but I think we are gonna see a little bit of scope in those areas as well, where local language में gaming journalism आएगा, because you being a developer, you know, tier 3 cities तक भी अभी बहुत games पहुंच रहे हैं. There's a
Correct.
lot of DAU from there as well.
Yeah.
So there might be a scope in the local language if you can figure out an idea with maybe a couple of your friends and you think it can work, you can go for that. But again, it's personal opinion. Secondly, after 10th, I think, of course, complete your 12th. Be it I mostly in arts, because it helps you polish your language. But again, whatever, as long as you have the knack for writing and you just get a degree. But I would suggest arts. After that, if you get a chance, definitely go into BMS, I think, Bachelor of Media Studies, or you can always take up English if that's the language of your choice. There are actually a lot of courses right now which are छोटे courses, like diploma courses as well, which polishes your language. Then BMS, why I said, because it also gives you a glimpse into the industry.
Correct.
While you are studying, I would suggest, if there's a possibility to get a internship somewhere, please do that. That helps a lot, because what you study in the college is all fun and games. It all goes for a toss once you come into the real life. I mean, job, you join a job, everything will be there, but you'll see whatever you have learned is bent some way or the other to better suit, for good or bad. It can be both. So get a glimpse of the industry. Then if you want to pursue masters, please go ahead. If there's an option of working side by side, do that, because experience matters. You'll be gauged kind of on your experience. Then I think right now there's a lot of scope, because there are a lot of portals which are writing about gaming in India. Or you can apply to an international portal as well. That's on you, but you need to figure out which area you want to cover. There are specific websites which write about esports only and only. There are websites which write about everything, like us. We do a little bit of everything. We are not into one sector very heavily. There are people who write just about poker and scene aside, so that also is there. So you need to figure out what you want to do, then start applying on those places, at those places. Maybe keep a couple of blogs ready. Maybe if you are applying, already send a good feature article which you have written, or industry observation. So I think that should be a path. 10th, 12th, bachelor's, diploma or degree, and then master's is your choice. Sorry.
Awesome. All right, man. That was great insights. I think we are done with the interview. Krishanu,
right.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Vaibhav. Yeah.
Any last thoughts that you want to tell the audience?
Yeah. So don't think much ki video gaming journalism kya hota hai. I think it's just like any other industry. It's finding facts, talking to people, getting the news out, justifying your facts, of course, and research. I think good writing skills. I think that's it. It's just like any other industry. There's any other journalism field. I mean, it's just the dynamics are a little different in terms of what you're covering. That's pretty much it. There's no video game journalism is very let's say, it's just very up and coming in India right now. It didn't exist a lot, but right now would be a very good time to try your hands on it. And that's it, because there are a lot of events going on, a lot of studios are making games, big players from outside are coming in. See, these are all news, so that means there's an opportunity to write about them. So this is a very good time.
All right, man. Thanks a lot, Krishanu.
Thank you so much.
ऑलराइट गाइज, आई होप दैट वाज यूज़फुल। अगर आपको कृषाणु के बारे में और डिटेल्स चाहिए तो मैंने डिस्क्रिप्शन में उनके सारे हैंडल्स के लिंक्स डाल दिए हैं। प्लीज़ गो चेक हिम आउट, से हाई टू हिम, एंड इफ़ यू नीड एनी मोर इन्फॉर्मेशन ऑन दिस टॉपिक प्लीज़ पुट इट डाउन इन द कमेंट सेक्शन बिलो। अगर आप चैनल पर नए हो तो प्लीज़ सब्सक्राइब कीजिए, बिकॉज मैंने देखा है एनालिटिक्स में यार, आप चैनल पे आके वीडियोस देखते हो लेकिन सब्सक्राइब नहीं करते यार। प्लीज़ सब्सक्राइब कर दो, एक लाल बटन क्लिक करना है भाई, सिर्फ 2 सेकंड लगने वाला है, क्लिक कर दो, सब्सक्राइब कर दो, और नोटिफिकेशन बटन भी दबाइए, बिकॉज जब भी मैं वीडियोस बनाऊंगा तभी आपको नोटिफिकेशन जानी बहुत ज़रूरी है। तो वो भी कीजिए, वीडियो को शेयर ज़रूर कीजिए और चैनल को देखते रहिए, क्योंकि बहुत सारे अमेजिंग वीडियोस और आने वाले हैं। तब तक के लिए